Alright fellas, here we are back at Pokemon Masters, and today we're going to be looking at Champion, Iris, and Hydreigon, because they're going to be releasing tomorrow again alongside their story event, The Shining Heart of Dragons. So, been wanting this story event to return forever, because I never got to do it, and Iris returning is awesome, because she's still a pretty strong sync pair, and I could use some dupes, so I'm taking this, right? This is a win for me. Even though we're just adding to the list of a lot of rerunning characters, or just a lot of characters in general this month, but it's fine. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at Iris and get a good overview of her strengths. So she initially released back in March of 2021 for the half anniversary of the game, or I guess a little bit after the half anniversary. It was the second half of the month, so kind of the same time slot as Serena and Zygarde in 2022? Yeah, 2022. But yeah, so this character, despite being quite old, is still quite strong. I'll say very strong. It's just that she has a lot of caveats now that make it harder to get to her strength, if that makes sense. So let's look at her abilities. So at 5 stars, level 140, she has 665 HP, 196 in both defensive stats, which is very solid, especially considering she's able to debuff attack and special attack. She's also got 283 speed, which is fine. 414 in both offenses, which is also very, very good, especially for back in, the day, right? These stats were pretty damn good, right? And of course, if you EX her level 150, whatever, you can get some higher stats, and she can look pretty impressive. But that's not really the big factor with this character. Big factor is that she is a god of debuffing. Well, mostly for back on release, but still very, very good to this day, I would say. Just obviously a lot of other better characters now. She's got Breaking Swipe and Snarl, which are AoE Dragon and Dark type moves, which debuff attack and special attack respectively. She also has Dragon Rush for a source of DPS, 75 accuracy, 130 power, 20% chance to flinch. And her trainer move 3 Heads, which applies Gauge Acceleration to the allied field of play, reduces sync countdown by 1, raises her attack by 2, and raises her crit by 1. Pretty solid trainer move, I would say. Being able to buff your stats is fine, applying Gauge Acceleration is good for gauge management, and reducing sync countdown is obviously very, very good, especially if you give her something like Adrenaline or Head Start 1, right? Very, very good. And then her sync move here is Triple Threat Dragon Rush. The more the target stats are lowered, the greater the power of this attack. So innate power play, right? Very, very strong. If you go to her passive skills, she has Piercing Gaze, meaning her moves can never miss, which is amazing. Power Loving, which the more enemy stats are lower, the greater the power, the more it powers up her moves. I don't remember the exact multiplier this is, but I'm going to guess it's like 40, 50%. I don't know. I should probably look it up, but I have no idea. And then there's Double Drop. Whenever an enemy stat is lowered, it is lowered by double the stat ranks. Meaning if you use Breaking Swipe and Snarl, it's not going to AoE debuff stats by 1, it's going to AoE debuff stats by 2. This is why she was really, really good. And of course, activating those stat debuffs, not only are you going to make it so the enemies can do no damage, you're going to be activating her power play and other characters who have Devastation and Pecking Order, and you're going to be doing some good stuff, right? At 1 out of 5, I'm not going to say Iris is insane, because she's really not. The biggest thing at 1 out of 5 is that she has the debuffing abilities here, and she's got the power loving. I would not use her for a nuke at 1 out of 5 because innate power play is a very low damaging multiplier. You can clear dragon stages just fine. That's not really the problem. The problem is more so when you go consider off-typing or anything else. It's not that great. It's really not that great of a nuke. You can go for damage if you want to, but I just would not go for the nuke. I wouldn't recommend it. Also, her self-sufficiency, horrible. It really is. Her ability to not really raise her attack and crit by too much is pretty hindering, especially once you get into a team composition, right? Because like if you want to build a team, you could build her alongside someone like Neo Champion Leaf, and Neo Champion Leaf, obviously, good partner, right? Because she's able to do a lot of debuffing, can fully max out Iris's nuke very, very quickly, and all of that stuff, right? Which is very, very nice, right? But you got to factor in, if you're running Leaf for her debuffing abilities, let me make sure I'm right on this. I believe I am. Yeah, I am right. You can't buff Iris's crit unless you bring a support, and if you do bring a support, you're missing out on Dragon Zone or where is it? Dragon Rebuff, right? So that could be very, very bad for you, right? But you've also got your ability to buff crit. I did not know if Lance did this, and that was actually what I was looking for. So that's good. But even if you do bring Lance here for his Dragon rebuff, right, which is obviously going to be very, very nice, you're going to be missing out on, sorry, you're going to be missing out on attack buffing. So you could bring a setup like Lance, Neo Champion Leaf, and Champion Iris, but you're going to be missing out on attack buffs and Dragon Zone, obviously, but, you know, you can kind of mitigate that with the rebuff. So that's her biggest issue, I would say, just overall, is the fact that she's not really self-sufficient. She doesn't really have too many problems when it comes to damage, just self-sufficiency. At 1 out of 5, her Nuke's not the greatest, but let's look at dupes, right? 1 out of 5, she just gets Snarl, Move Gauge Refresh. 2 out of 5, she gets Snarl, Super Duper Effective, not worth it. Beef up 3, buffing her attack by 1, 40% chance when she is hit by an attacking move. For some reason, this is not a good ability. Turn to NPR if you want to get some sync countdown and extra stats in there. And that's pretty much it, I guess. Refresh on Breaking Swipe. But obviously 3 out of 5 is going to give you the best bang for your buck. Devastation, Sync Nodes, and Pecking Order. This is what you want, right? This is what you want. You also get, I guess, all ramped up on her trainer move, which is not good. It's for 1, it's +1. For 2, it's a special attack buff, which does not impact her at all. And this is for support abilities, which I don't know why. Again, I don't know why that's a thing. Let's see, what would be better to run? I guess this would be better to run. No, this would be better to run. And there you go, you can pick up yourself that Devastation. You got 15 energy left over to work with, 11 energy left over to work with, and you can just pick up whatever you like. Maybe your attack up +20, that could be very, very good. Whatever you want to pick up, go for it. But this is your big grid here. Pecking Order, Devastation, plus the innate power play. This is where her Nuke becomes insanely strong, and it is still a very strong Nuke to this day. But again, her biggest problem, not only is her debuffing by herself going to take a while, because realistically speaking, if you just start spamming Breaking Swipe, well great, you've got Pecking Order maxed out, and you've got -6 on the attack. But where is your other 12 stats, and where is your special attack for Devastation, right? So you need a partner that can help you debuff. So again, bring Neo Champion Leaf. But if you bring Neo Champion Leaf, where's your Dragon Zone? Where's your Dragon rebuff? And if you do bring Lance for Dragon rebuff and Neo Champion Leaf for debuffing, where's your physical attack buffs? Right? And also where's your tank, but that's a little bit less of a problem to handle, right? So you got to consider all of that. And again, you're still missing Dragon Zone. So the biggest problem with Iris is not really her Nuke or anything, it's more so her self-sufficiency, for 1, in debuffing, and for 2, in her just ability to work with other characters, because she needs support, but she also wants Dragon Zone, she wants rebuff, she wants all these abilities. And can she function fine without rebuff in Dragon Zone? Sure, I bet she can, but she also would need a partner for debuffing, so she still needs help in some aspects like that. That's more so a problem. But like if you were to look at her in a vacuum, you would say she's very good, just looking at the Nuke. But again, you gotta consider self-sufficiency, buffing, all that stuff. And also consider power loving. Going to be doing some good damage with Dragon Rush, right? Or solid damage at least. Probably not amazing, but still, it's something. Especially off of a pretty high attack stat if you have her EX'd, right? So that's nice. Other than that, you can look at her lucky skills. If you want to try and run, let me think. You can try and run some different lucky skills on her. I personally have Defense Crush 2, which I think is very, very good, because Defense Crush 2 does activate with Double Drop as well, so you get -2 on the Defense Crush, as well as it being AoE if you use Breaking Swipe and Snarl. So it's not actually too difficult to get extra debuffs in with that, so you don't really have to worry too much, right? You can get your Power Play activated a lot faster by having Defense Crush 2 as a lucky skill here. You are missing out on damage from Critical Strike 2, but it is making her a little bit more self-sufficient with her debuffs. Because imagine, you use Breaking Swipe twice, maybe Defense Crush activates twice, and then you use Snarl. You know, you got -2 special attack, -4 attack, -4 defense. That's very, very good to activate, right? And we'll just assume you have the support to handle her attack buffing, right? So I think Defense Crush 2 is a very good lucky skill. You could also try Adrenaline, right? Because you could do a setup where you have Adrenaline, you use Iris' sync move, Adrenaline activates, then you also use her trainer move, and you get extra sync countdown, and you could run some sync countdown partners, and just get a lot of sync countdown in that way if you want to. Again, this is really just all up to you. Head Start 1, I would say, is a little bit less viable, because you do want to have, you know, the ability to have time to debuff, but you could, of course, run Head Start 1 too, in just conjunction with her trainer move, sync countdown. Other than that, Critical Strike 2 obviously is very good, but I'd say those are your big 3, or big 4 rather, right? Head Start 1, Adrenaline 1, Defense Crush 2, and Critical Strike 2. I'd say those are probably your best bets for lucky skills. And overall, yeah, I mean, you can get a very strong Nuke with Iris, but you do got to consider you have to bring a support to buff her attack and crit, or you got to bring like someone like Lance and then miss out on your attack buffing. It just really is depending. It depends on what you want to do, right? Maybe you could run the Training with NPR if you wanted to, but of course that would require some luck with resetting. That would also give you a little bit less time to debuff with Snarl and Breaking Swipe. So you do got to consider if you do try and go for some of these things, it means you may be missing out on other aspects, right? So trying to go for the Training with NPR would mean you miss out on time using Breaking Swipe or Snarl. So you do have to keep that considered. But yeah, other than that, I would say there's not too many problems with Iris, but again, her big problem is being self-sufficient and having the ability to work with different characters, I would say. If you look at her 4 out of 5 grid, which of course she just got 4 out of 5 for this release, she has a Stalwart and Unbending, by the way, at 2 out of 5, very useless. But at 4 out of 5, she gets Dragon Rush, Aggravation 2, and Entry Team stat down 1. Why? Whatever. Dragon Rush Aggravation 2 is good. Flinching is awesome. 60% chance to flinch. Cool. But Entry Team stat down 1. Why? It debuffs a random stat by 1 on entry. And never again. Why? This is a useless ability. 5 out of 5 she gets Soften Up 1. If you do... This could be good. If you want to run, like, RNG, and you don't really care about... How do I put this? If you don't really care about having +3 crit for her Dragon Rushes or anything like that, you can pick up Soften Up 1 here, and I'm pretty sure... No, this doesn't guarantee you a crit, but it does give you the same crit chances of +3 crit, I believe. So you can use Soften Up 1 here, and you can have a far higher chance of performing a crit on your sync move at +2 crit. And obviously if you have +3 crit, it would guarantee it. But this could definitely help you out a little bit in terms of, you know, partners and whatnot. It could help you maybe a Dragon Zone, rebuff, whatever. And then for her final ability, she has Trigger Move, Honing Hit 9, raises her attack by 2, and critical hit by 1 when using her Trigger Move. This puts her at +4 attack and +2 crit. Again, I don't... It's not a bad ability for sure, but I really just wish they would have made her fully self-sufficient. Because if you're doing this, you're still relying on another character to buff either your attack and crit, or you're relying on picking up Soften Up 1, in which case if you do, you're missing out on picking up other things, because look at this grid, I can't really pick up much else, right? I'm at -9 energy, I would have to miss out on something like the nodes, or something, right? So I can't really pick up both Soften Up 1 and Honing Hit 9, right? So really, I don't know, this is pretty much kind of what you're working with. Iris's grid can definitely work out with Dragon Rush Aggravation if you want to run that. Depends on what you're... Again, all of these different abilities just depends how you want to run Iris. Like, if you want to run her a +2 crit or something, then Soften Up 1's your best bet for a crit on your sync move. If you want to just give her +4 attack and +2 crit, then Honing Hit 9 solid enough. Aggravation is going to be very good for, like, a gauntlet, or if you want to do flinch, just flinch locking and whatnot, you got that. I would never pick up this Entry Team stat down 1 ability, but whatever. Overall, though, if you just want Iris's Nuke, 3 out of 5, of course, is going to be your best thing for it. That's pretty much it. I don't know why they gave her these lack of... These abilities help, sure, but they don't fully fix her problems, and for a character of her age, that's kind of what you want, especially when we have far stronger characters running around now. So I don't know. Whatever. Either way, that's kind of my overview for Champion Iris, I guess. I don't really have much else to say. She's definitely got a very good Nuke. It's just that when it comes to doing self-sufficient abilities and whatnot, she can kind of struggle. Because she wants Dragon Zone, rebuff, debuffing, support for crit and attack, and all of that, right? So that's just the biggest issue, I'd say. Anyway, yeah. Let me know what you think about Champion Iris and her grid expansion and whatnot down in the comments below. Let me know if you're going to be summoning. And yeah, I'll see you all later.